And hello, and welcome to the Games Monster podcast. My name is David Postansky, and there must be something in the air because this is the second Games Monster podcast within a couple of days. And that must mean something pretty big has happened in the video game world for me to be jumping straight back in here. Now, if anyone listened to the last one, you will know I gave a preview of Nintendo's latest Nintendo Direct, where I gave some predictions. But now it's time for the reactions. Now we've got the news. If you go back and listen to my last podcast, you'll see how hilariously off point or on point I was at times. And I don't think I got everything wrong. I got a few things spot on the money. But let's go over all of the announcements. So if you haven't heard, the Nintendo Direct lasted about 50 minutes. We'll just give a quick mention that if you haven't done so already, smash that subscribe button over on youtube.com/Extreme Improv, because it really helps grow the channel and helps make it so we can keep doing these podcasts. But with that, let's get into what the announcements were. 50-minute presentation. The first one we got was Smash Brothers, and it was that we'll have extra characters, of course, and it's a character from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I've not played. So Pyra and Mithra, however it's pronounced, coming to Smash Brothers Ultimate in March. That's cool. You know, I feel like there's a lot of characters in Smash Brothers, perhaps that aren't from games that I've necessarily played, and it's usually, if it's like I did play Xenoblade Chronicles, so obviously seeing Shulk in there back in the day on the old Wii U, that was cool. But when you've got lots of characters from like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or the Fire Emblem games, like these could have been characters from Fire Emblem, I wouldn't have known the difference. But it's still cool, and there will still be more characters coming out for Smash Brothers Ultimate in the future, so all hope is not lost yet. If people are still desperately hoping that Waluigi will get in there somewhere, or I'm trying to think what other character, Master Chief, you know, or Crash Bandicoot, that seemed to be the one that the internet were really hoping for. But anyway, we got the update that Zelda Breath of the Wild Part 2, or the sequel to Breath of the Wild, there'll be some more news on it later this year, but didn't have anything to say of today. Enuma actually said that, well, you're seeing me, you're hoping it's going to be Breath of the Wild, but it's not. And what we did get was The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD announced for the Nintendo Switch. And this was great. They addressed how this game is going to be played, because obviously back in the day on the Nintendo Switch, not on the Nintendo Switch, on the Nintendo Wii, it was the big thing that you need not just the Wii Remote, but Wii Motion Plus or a Wii Remote Plus to be able to play this game fully. And obviously they've now solved the problem of if you play it on Switch, then you can obviously play with the Joy-Cons to replicate the Wii Remote. But what if you play it in handheld mode? What if you've only got a Switch Lite and apparently there's button controls for it? And to be honest, they showed that it's going to work by using the right stick just to point in the direction you want to slash. I think that feels like it's going to be a bit dodgy, that you're going to have to be slashing with the shoulder buttons, which I'm sure will be fine, but it's going to feel a bit alien for a Zelda game. But anyway, at least we're going to get it. It looks great. I'll be honest, I need to look back at the original, because to me, obviously now it's in HD, but the graphics kind of look exactly the same as I remember. Obviously, when we saw Wind Waker go to HD from the GameCube to the Wii U, it was noticeably a much better looking game. And when we saw Twilight Princess go from the GameCube/Wii to the Wii U, it didn't look as much of an improvement as Wind Waker HD. Wind Waker HD looked like it could have been released today, and that's one of the great things about the cell shading or toon shading graphics that made it look so good. Twilight Princess HD, it looked like they'd improved the graphics, but it looked like when you upgrade a PS2 game to the 360 or something, or PS3 I should say. But with Skyward Sword, the graphics aren't as full on. cell shaded as something like Wind Waker. So it's this little bit of halfway. It wasn't the realistic look that obviously Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess were kind of going for, that more realistic presentation. And so with it a more watercolour style aesthetic, I was hoping that they'd have done something to make it a bit more in line with what they'd done on Wind Waker HD. So it was a little bit disappointing looking, in all truthfulness, but by no means bad at all. Still looks like it's going to be a great game, because it is a great game. I played it back in the day, and I can't believe that actually came out 10 years ago. 10 long years ago, which is absolutely incredible. And that's coming out in July 16th, 2021. We'll be able to get Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Obviously, it's the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, and the fact that they've announced this, I think, is very smart. I think what they're kind of doing, because we were saying, are they going to do a Super Mario All-Stars 3D collection like how they did last year with Mario? And what I think it's going to be is that they're kind of doing the reverse. So whereas you got Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy in one package, and then just within the last week they've released Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury as a standalone release rather than being part of the same collection, and you can understand why they did that. I think what they're doing here is they're starting with the equivalent to 3D World. So they're starting with Skyward Sword, which, when you think about it, was the most recent Zelda other than Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild was the exclusive Wii U Legend of Zelda game, and I say it's exclusive even though it wasn't, because it came out as a launch title for the Nintendo Switch, but that was the Wii U's exclusive original Legend of Zelda game, if you know what I mean. It was I shouldn't say exclusive, it was the Wii U's original Legend of Zelda game. So if they want something from that last generation Zelda-wise, they've already done Hyrule Warriors, but that's a spin-off at best anyway. They have to look back to Skyward Sword. So if they wanted to get another release out of their last big game, which Super Mario 3D World was in the Mario side of things, that's what they could do there. And if they needed to do the same with Zelda, then they have to look to Skyward Sword. So if they then release a Legend of Zelda 3D All-Stars collection, it should probably now feature Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD, and then potentially it would feature Ocarina of Time. And then everyone will say, what about Majora's Mask? Just as everyone has said, what about Super Mario Galaxy 2? So I think Nintendo are going to very much mirror that from last year into this year, but just in the reverse order. So anyway, Skyward Sword. They also announced with it that there'll be a themed Joy-Cons available, which the left one is a lighter blue, the right one is a darker blue verging on purple. And they've got the Legend of Zelda symbols and the Triforce and the bird symbol, whatever it is on it. And so they look cool. My Wii U, as I mentioned on the last podcast, is actually a Wind Waker themed one, so I'd be tempted. I haven't got any additional Joy-Cons. I literally, not that I'm Billy No Mates, I've got a Pro controller, so I can do 2-player, and then I've got the Pokemon Let's Go Pokeball controller as well, so I've got controller options. But if I was going to get another pair of Joy-Cons, these ones are tempting, just for the aesthetic of them. The other big reveal, I suppose, that came at the end of the Direct was Splatoon 3, and that's a little bit surprising. I had a feeling that Nintendo were going to follow what they have done with other games. Obviously, we got 2 Super Mario Galaxies on the Wii, but other than that, we got Super Mario 64 on the N64, Super Mario Galaxy for the GameCube, and then we got Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U. And it seems typical on that same sense for a lot of Nintendo franchises just to get one game, one entry per system. Now, it's not the same with all of them, but if you look at something like Mario Kart, other than the trend somewhat breaking this generation with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which itself is a director's cut, then coming out in the same generation, now we get the exclusive Mario Kart Live, which, when you think about it, we may not have got an exclusive Mario Kart for the Switch. So, in a sense, we're lucky that we got Mario Kart Live, even though it's a different kind of game than perhaps what everyone was hoping for. And so, with that, I thought that Splatoon, after coming out on the Wii U, and Splatoon 2, after coming out on the Switch, that would be it, and that would be as much Splatoon as we get until whatever the next generation is. But I think Nintendo really want to keep this generation going, because they're so far ahead now at this stage compared to like the Xbox Series X versus the PlayStation 5. And arguably, most people would probably dispute it to some degree, but arguably it's the same generation, because obviously the Wii U to Switch generation was very short, with the Wii U wrapping up after about 4 years, and then we've had the Switch for almost 4 years, 3.5 plus years before the PS5 came out. But that means that either they're going to end the Switch generation early, which they're obviously not because it's selling super well, or they need to bring out loads of the heavy hitters for the Switch to capitalise on the install base, capitalise on the fact that it's a hybrid system. So I think it's a very smart idea to have Splatoon 3 come out just to keep everyone playing on the Switch. So that if people were starting to dwindle on Splatoon 2, then now they've got Splatoon 3, and make it something that's a bit more regular. It doesn't have to go full Call of Duty regularity, but if they've got Splatoon games coming out every couple of years, then they might even be able to get Splatoon 4 out before the next generation kicks in. Doubt it, but it's not impossible. So, let's have a look what else we've got. I like Splatoon, by the way. I fell off with Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 relatively quickly, and if there was a single player game as well, but because it's super focused on multiplayer, whatever single player challenges you could do, they weren't quite enough to keep me in the mindset of playing Splatoon. Oh yeah, we got Mario Golf Super Rush announced, and it looks like more Mario Golf. Mario Golf games have always been fun. We had Mario Golf games, I think, on the GameCube. The first one was on the N64. Arguably, you could say that we had Mario Golf just as Golf on the NES. And then I think we had a 3DS one. I'm not sure if we had a regular DS one. But I don't think we had one for the Wii. I think that was a re-release of a previous Mario Golf game. And I don't think we had one on the Wii U. We've had tennis games along the way instead, because they always seemed a little bit interchangeable, even though they're completely different sports. What else did we get? We got a Star Wars game, which was announced. It's a free-to-play game, I believe, and I'm not sure too much about that. Can't even really remember the trailer. Didn't take it in that much. We got Project Triangle coming from Square Enix, which is from the same team, I believe, that brought Octopath Traveler. And let's see what else we got. We got Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. It's amazing, when I looked at this game, I can't remember who it was by. It was by a company that put out another game. It may have been the company, in fact, that made the Mario Kart Live. I read that they are bringing something else out, and it was that company that made Mario Kart Live. I think it was this game. It might have been something else. But either way, I looked at this, and to me, I was like, I don't know what this Fall Guys is, and because I don't think I've played previous editions, because I think there have been. But I looked at it, and with the amount of characters on screen running around, like Battle Royale, I was just like, why didn't Nintendo ever do that Super Mario 1 to 8? Like, they've done Super Mario 35 now, and that, I believe, is still going to be going away soon. There might have been something about it on this Direct, but I can't remember any big announcement about it remaining. But they should do Super Mario 1 to 8, and it should be that GameCube demo developed into a Battle Royale game. Which, when you think about it, if they actually did that, they'd say, wow, Nintendo kind of invented the Battle Royale game like 15 years before anyone realised they'd done it. They just didn't release it. So we got that there'll be an expansion pass for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I forget what all of the details they gave on it. There'll be new characters, new weapons. I like Age of Calamity, I haven't got all the way through it yet. Like it was just a thing that when I watched this, I was like, oh yeah, I need to get back onto playing that. I've been playing some other things recently. There's going to be a collection of Ninja Gaiden games coming out, which will feature Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 and 2 plus Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, and I think Razor's Edge may have been the edition that came out previously on the Wii U. And let's see what else we got. So yeah, it's not really my type of game. I might get into it, but as soon as I heard that the Ninja Gaiden games were super difficult to play, hardcore to play, tough to beat, it kind of massively off-putting to me. There's so many games nowadays that I want ones that give a bit of a challenge, but ones that you can probably get through within a week or two. Or if there's a lot of content, if you're going to play a big RPG, which I don't even have time for nowadays, and I'm going to be playing it for a month or several months, I want it to be that I'm continually getting something out of it, not that I'm just stuck because it's super hard. They announced that there'll be Super Mario stuff, content added to Animal Crossing, and again, Animal Crossing is one of the biggest selling games for the Nintendo Switch, and it always sells and does super well for the machine, just like it helped the 3DS so much. But it's a series which I've kind of fallen out of love with over the years, and it's probably unfair because it's probably got better and better, and I should be playing it now. But it didn't grip me enough in the first instance. I loved the idea on the GameCube that you could unlock the classic Nintendo games, but other than that, we then got a Virtual Console, and I didn't really need to play Animal Crossing just to play some NES games. We've got that the Famicom detective games. Now, I don't even know what these are. I take that these are games that have been remade from the ground up and just retelling the story, but I don't know what they were. But apparently it's the first time they'll be released in Europe. I take probably into the West in total, so to the United States. I have to check them out again to give more of an impression, but they didn't grip me just to look at them. Miitopia, which I never had on the 3DS, is coming to the Switch, and that's one that sold well. There was a lot of hype around it, but also people said that it wasn't much game in there, so it's interesting that that's getting a second life. We'll see how it does this time. I'm thinking that they're going to hope that it hypes things up and captures some of that Animal Crossing style demographic. Samurai Warriors 5, which of course, if you're playing Hyrule Warriors and you want more of that, any of the Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors games, they're all very hack and slashy, similar kind of games to each other, but obviously if that's the kind of game you enjoy, then that's great that another one's coming out on the Switch. I think I'd be interested to play one, because obviously I've got the 2 Hyrule Warrior games, and I've got, what was the other one? Fire Emblem Warriors. I enjoy all of these, but for me, the Fire Emblem one was me hoping that it was going to get me into Fire Emblem a bit more, which did for that game, but didn't overall. And with the Zelda games, it's because it's based on Zelda. I should try just a Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors game at some point. They showed a new trailer for Monster Hunter Rise, and that's coming out in March. And again, Monster Hunter is one which I wish I could get into, but there's so many of these huge RPGs which feel too much of a commitment to get in at times, just because you want to play lots of different games. But I would like to give it a go. Legend of Mana is releasing, and it's a remake of the Super Nintendo game, so that should be cool. But again, it's another RPG, Tales from Borderlands, Adventures, or Tales of Borderlands, the Telltale games like the Walking Dead games will be coming out. And again, that's another good addition. I feel like with a lot of these Telltale games, I was so into them when The Walking Dead started, and perhaps I don't feel quite so inclined to play them now. Like, I feel that just the decision-making, storyline stuff, it's the branching storylines, the making the best choices. Perhaps it could have been that I would have been more into those games if there was a bit more gameplay in it. But the storytelling was great, but once I'd done a few of them, The Walking Dead, Back to the Future, trying to think what else we got, Wolf Among Us, then by that point I was ready to do something different. Capcom Arcade Stadium, and that's available now. I need to check it out just to see what games that you'll be able to get, but there's a load of games on it, and I think you can get them for just like a couple of bucks, a couple of dollars each, or a couple of pounds each. But there's all kinds of different ghouls and ghosts, and I think you get like 1942 or something included in it for free. But it should have all the Street Fighters. I was thinking about that. That means you can get Street Fighter 2 as the Ultra Street Fighter 2 edition, which came out when the Switch first released. You can then get the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which will give you various editions of Street Fighter 2, and I think Capcom Arcade Stadium will also give you the ability to get copies of Street Fighter 2. So there'll be lots of Street Fighter 2 options on the Switch, and it's just interesting because there'll probably be someone that buys all of them. Won't be me unless I get like a bundle collection of the arcade games, but since I have one of the like mini consoles, when I say mini consoles it's ginormous, but one of the mini consoles of the Capcom arcade games, then I don't need that, in my opinion. I'll check which game it's got, but I'm probably not going to have a big arcade stick which gives me 16 Capcom games and then pay for them again just to play them on the Switch. But it depends, like I said, if it's got loads of extra games, but they'd have to be spectacular ones that I really want. So, let's see, we're going to get Stubbs the Zombie, can't even remember that. Was that Plants vs. Zombies spin-off or something? No More Heroes 3 will release, and they show it, and it looks like it's got aliens and all kinds of weirdness. I didn't play the previous ones, and it's so many years. I think it was back in the Wii era since the first ones came out, and that will be interesting just to see what the reception is for it, and I'll make my decision then. Let's see what else we got. Oh my gosh, there was DC Superhero Girls Teen Powered, and this game looks amazing. It doesn't look like it's necessarily the type of game I'd want to play. I think if I did play it, I probably would enjoy it, but I felt like this was a game 100% where people had sat down to research, right, how can we sell superheroes to girls? And they were like Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy or whoever on it, Batgirl, and they were like, oh wow, not only do we kick butt, but we also, have to go on social media, influencer, hashtag, and I was like, this almost seemed like a parody, but there will be girls that do like that, of that age group, and there will be other people who just want to play the game, and hopefully it'll be a good game. I don't expect it'll do great in reviews, but I don't think it will do terribly. Probably a middle of the road game. Oh no, so I don't know what I was talking about earlier, Stubbs the Zombie, don't know what that is, because this was Plants vs. Zombies Battle for the Neighborville Complete Edition was the announcement there, so I don't think they're connected. What else did we get? What else? World's End Club arriving. I'm just checking this IGN just because they've got the handy list of all the things. I've got the video open here. Let's just see what I'm forgetting about. Yeah, there's the trailer for the Superhero Girls Teen Power. Even the logo looks super fun and swirly. It's showing off Wonder Woman. Let's see what else we got. So, see, even on Miitopia, they were like, and now you can do makeup. Which is just cool that they're doing these things. Bravely Default 2 final trailer was revealed. Never played the first one. There's so many RPGs that you can get on the Switch, and I suppose it's great. Like, not that people are going out, but if you're on a train at the moment, or if you're on a plane, then just having an RPG that you can just eat up the entire 12 hours flight to New York or whatever, that would be handy to have them on the Switch like that, because it's portable. So Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, that looked like Ghosts and Goblins, which again, I always liked that game when I was very young, but I was always I'd get to level 2 or 3. It was just a super hard game. I don't like games that are just overly hard for no reason. Challenging, yes. Ones where you feel like you can, improve your skill, but ones where you just have to learn the timing, or you just get swamped by bad guys. No, they're not quite for me. What else did we get? I think that was most of it. So, overall, did I think it was a good Nintendo Direct? Yeah, but I don't know perhaps what else I was expecting. I said on my preview and predictions that I didn't expect that we'd get any Pokemon announcements, just because they normally do them as their own thing. If they had announced that there's going to be a Zelda collection coming later in the year, which would have featured either the 3D Zeldas that I mentioned earlier, or it would have featured 2D Zeldas, or we're going to get a couple of different Zelda collections spread throughout the year, then that might have felt good as well. Splatoon 3, they announced, isn't coming until 2022, so if they announced that that was coming this year, then people might have been a bit more hyped for it. But people just looked at this and they might have felt that 2021 feels a little bit bare. Now, obviously, we aren't even anywhere near E3 season yet, so there's still lots of times for things to be announced. And Nintendo likes to announce things and drop things like, surprise, we were working on this, or surprise, here's this. So there's still lots of time for lots to be announced throughout the year, but there wasn't anything that made this feel amazing. Like, they didn't announce Resident Evil Revelations 3, which I didn't expect them to, just because Capcom were going to focus on Resident Evil 8 Village. We didn't get Bayonetta 3, which I didn't think we were going to, because we basically got told that a few weeks ago. No More Heroes 3, I was wrong about that one. I didn't think we would see it, and we did. And what else could have they done to make this better? Like, if they'd shown Super Mario Odyssey 2, then everyone would have blown their lids. If they'd shown Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, then everyone would have gone nuts for it. But obviously you want to save that for E3. And they said that we'll be seeing some more of it this year, but it didn't sound like that means that we'll be getting it this year. Doesn't mean we won't, but it didn't say that we'd definitely be getting it. It sounded more like we should be able to show you some more later this year. So yeah, it was alright, kind of like middle of the road, nothing like where I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited, because we don't, other than Metroid Prime 4 being being worked on by Retro Studios, we have no idea what else they may have been working on, or perhaps if those things were cancelled, because after Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which came out I think in 2014, I want to say, then they haven't done anything, and it was only, I think, 2018, maybe, or maybe it was even 2019, it was announced that Retro would be taking over the production of Metroid Prime 4. So what were they doing in between for 3 or 4 years? There's definitely something that we don't know, and it might be that there was a game that was cancelled, a game that was being worked on for the Wii U, but then got moved to the Switch, or who knows what they'd been up to. If we'd got something about Metroid Prime 4, people would have blown their lids. I was hoping we'd see like Star Fox Zero being ported over and improved, and Nintendo kind of proved that they can do this with Skyward Sword. So Skyward Sword needed the Wii Motion Plus, the Wii Remote Plus to work, and they showed how it could work with just the buttons and like the analog stick if you want to play in handheld mode on Switch. In that same sense, if they took Star Fox Zero, which had the dual screen gameplay, and said, well look, this is how we figured it, so it's just going to play like more in line with Star Fox 64/Lilac Wars, then I think everyone would have been super happy with that. But yeah, there we go. Nothing super spectacular, but nothing bad either. All of this was good. You know, the Switch looks like it's still got loads of steam in it, loads of games coming out. There could have been something bigger from third parties again, but like, what do we get other than like a Doom Eternal or like a Bayonetta 3 or something like this? What's, you know, Mortal Kombat? We don't always get like the big third party games, and now that we're in the PS5, Xbox Series X generation, that's going to become even more difficult. With all of the rumours since basically 2017, which is when the Switch came out, with all the rumours that we'll be seeing a Switch Pro or a new Nintendo Switch, people were still thinking, oh, may that get shown here? But if they're not going to release it yet, then they're not going to show it yet, because it would just affect sales. So this may be that they've got some big games to announce for it, and it will take advantage of the Switch Pro's power, but they're just going to wait until they're actually announcing it. And so if it's coming out about September time, which is my prediction, then it probably will be that they don't show it until at least E3 kind of time, if not about a month before. So if in July they said this is coming out at the beginning of September, you know, I could see that they would do that, and then they would give them a chance to discount all the current Switches, and then they'd have to probably have a month where they're not going to sell the Switch whilst people are saving up and holding out for the Switch Pro. So I think this was more of a Nintendo Direct where they're just like, hey, here's some stuff to tide you over, but the big stuff is coming later. So, anyway, with that, guys, I will wrap this one up here. I just thought I'd do a little update after the Nintendo Direct. It feels good that I've done 2 of these in 1 week, and I certainly will do more. Every time there's a big story, I will try to cover it and just try to do some fun discussions in between. The more that you click that subscribe button either on the podcast platforms, Spotify, Alexa, Apple, whatever, Google Podcast, the better. But also, if you really want to help out Extreme Improv and Extremed and all the podcasts and live improv shows and all the movie shows and stuff that we do, head over to youtube.com/Extreme Improv and smash that subscribe button. So, from me, until next time, this is David Postanski. Stay safe, have a good one, and always stay extremed.